Hey, what's up YouTube? Making this video today on my 2016 Dodge Grand Caravan. I've got almost 195,000 miles on the clock and starting to have some transmission issues. Got the 62 TE transmission, and I want to describe the problems I'm having. I'm not having any codes, but I was getting drivability issues. Now, I did my first transmission fluid change at 100,000 miles. Then I did my second one at 160,000. And I started developing issues around 185,000 miles. Now, what was going on was I was getting kind of a weird shifting issue after fourth gear. 1 through 4 was good. But then 5 and 6 seemed like there was slipping going on. I would watch the tach and it would just kind of fall into gear. Sometimes with 6 it would fall and then pop back out again and just keep doing this number until it finally settled in and locked in, and I was getting some shudder in the transmission, and I'd have to let off the gas, let it catch, and then it'd be good to go. Now, this didn't happen all the time. Mainly seemed to be under light acceleration. That's mainly how I drive, is light acceleration. Sometimes I do blow the carbon out of this thing, and you got to do that once in a while, especially on the highway. But so what could it be? Wasn't getting any codes, so I put on my scan tool and I was looking, and I could actually see the torque converter slip. Now, I put 2 PIDs on the screen. I put when the lockup solenoid was requested by the computer, and I looked how long it took for the lockup to occur. And sure enough, I would see the computer request lockup, and then I would see the torque converter slowly slide into lockup position. It wasn't happening what I would consider quick enough. So I pulled the pan and saw everybody's worst nightmare. Saw a bunch of glitter, metallic. The fluid was very dark. This wasn't good. So basically my torque converter is coming apart. Now, the van's still drivable right now. The shudder only happens once in a while. But if a part is failing, you know it's only got a matter of time. How long of a time do you have? Nobody knows. I mean, it depends on how hard you drive it, obviously, and everything else. But the fact of the matter is, it's failing. So I did a flush on it. Now, one thing I would like to mention, people buy these fluid flush cans and stuff that you put on the line and everything. I learned this with my Subaru, and they do this on Subaru. When you do a transmission service, here's all you have to do. You fill up your transmission, what you would normally do for a fluid and filter change. I believe it's 4.5 quarts or something, 5 quarts of transmission fluid. Okay, then you take your output from your cooler off of the transmission. So you say, well, how do I know which one that is? Well, think about it. The hot fluid is always going to go in on the top of your cooler, and the cool fluid is always going to come out at the bottom of the cooler. That's how it works. Your heat is up at the top, your coolness is at the bottom. So we got our bottom line here. See if I can get my finger. Okay, it's underneath this top one. Just follow that back. It's right over here. Okay, got the black cap on it. Not sure, maybe if that's the indicator to people who know or not, but that's what I figured out. So anyways, so I took this line loose. You got a little E-clip in there. Pop it out with a pick, and I put it in a container. Now, you need to hold this thing. This is a 2-man operation. You need to have somebody sitting at the key, crank it up. I had a gallon jug on there, and just start it up and let it fill that. There's 4 quarts in a gallon. All right, so as long as you don't fill over the gallon jug, you're not going to run out of fluid in the pan. and hurt anything, right? Okay. Well, by the time I pumped 3 quarts out, you could see the change in the fluid. It went from being a dark, discolored, nasty looking fluid to nice cherry pink fluid. So I had them shut the car off and I was done. So at that point, you have pumped out all of the nasty fluid. You know, you got your transmission, you're pumping out the torque converter, it's going into your cooler, and it's never making it back into the transmission because you took the line off and you're pumping it into a jug. So when you get that clean fluid to your jug, you know you've already pumped all that old nasty stuff out. You done cleaned your torque converter out, you cleaned out your cooler, it's all fresh now. Then you just add another however much you took out in that jug, you put new back in the transmission, and you'll be good to go. So anyways, I did all that, and that did improve things. But I kept driving. I've gone about another 10,000 miles now, and I was having now I'm starting to get shifting issues 1 through 4 I didn't have before. It's kind of like chunky and clunky. It's not smooth like it was before. So now I'm like, okay, well, what's going on now? So I found this kit right here, this Transgo kit. Comes with a couple valves. I didn't have any line pressure issues, but it was supposed to correct the transmission shutter and the shifting issues. I figured, why not? I'll give it a go. So I pulled the valve body out. I put the new valves in. Now, when I pulled out the valve body and broke it all apart, I found a whole bunch, well, I would consider a bunch of metallic particles in there, especially under there's 3 check balls in mine that come out. Some of them have 4, but the 3 check balls, there was a lot of debris in those passageways. I had to wash out the whole valve body with brake clean, blow it out real good. When I put it all back together, 1 through 4 shifted great again. Still got the shutter issue, still got the issue with the torque converter. So, you know, at this point, I'm changing the transmission. I researched it. To get a new torque converter, it's going to be $600. And I was reading online, I started thinking, well, what caused the torque converter to fail in the first place? Well, this transmission, at least the computer in these Grand Caravans, I don't know about the cars, but I was watching on the scan tool, after you hit 4th gear, the computer engages torque converter lockup. So you'll see on the scan tool, it requests torque converter lockup, it'll lock up, and you'll continue to gain speed. Then it unlocks the torque converter, shifts to 5th, and then after a while, in 5th it'll lock up the torque converter, ride that for a little bit, unlock the converter, shift into 6th, and then ride that for a little bit, and finally you lock into final overdrive. But after 4th, after 5th, and after 6th, all 3 of those times, you have torque converter engagement and disengagement. All right? Well, at least between 4th and 5th. So to me, that's a lot of excessive lockup and unlock, you know? So, and I've got 195,000 miles. You know, it's, I just think it's just normal wear and tear. I don't think there's anything in particular that caused it, except for it's just used a lot. I wish I knew somebody who could reprogram the shifting on this computer, because I would only like my torque converter to lock up after I'm in 6th gear. I really don't see the need for lockup between 4th and 5th and 5th and 6th, because you have to lock in, then unlock, lock in, then unlock. And you're doing that every single time you take off and go somewhere. So to me, I think just the excessive amount of locking and unlocking contributed to its failure. But I've also read online that in the valve body, particularly, you know, you don't know if something might have happened, and you're not, the torque converter isn't getting enough pressure from the valve body to lock up fast enough. if that makes sense to y'all. So it could be commanding it on, but maybe there's a restriction somewhere in a passage that you're not seeing, and that caused the, because while you figure it like this, think of a manual transmission car. All right, your goal to make your clutch last as long as you can in a manual transmission car is to low RPMs, ease into the clutch, let it lock, and take off. You don't want to be up at high RPMs and just ease off that clutch, because all you're doing is just burning it up. All right. Well, that's what it's doing right now. It's being applied, and it's just easing into lockup. And sometimes the easing period is too long, and I think it's overheating, and the clutch packs, what's left of them, the heat's causing distortion, and then it starts this shuddering thing. You let off, then it locks up and grabs, and you're good to go. So every time it does that, it's sending little particles out into the transmission, get stuck in the valve body and all this crap. So the only surefire fixes I see are buy a new torque converter and buy a whole new valve body assembly. Well, torque converter is $600, valve body is $1,000. There's $1,600 in components to put on a 195,000 mile transmission. Now, I didn't have no problems with 1 through 4, but I can imagine those clutches are worn as well, normal wear and tear. So what did I opt for? I opt for a $1,400 lower mileage transmission that comes with a warranty, was driven, checked out okay, 111,000 miles. So I'm gonna slap this baby in, and we'll go for it. So I just wanted to describe my symptoms. I've tried researching this on YouTube and the web and everything, and everything I found, there was codes set for stuff. Mine hasn't set any codes. I have never gotten a check engine light. So that tells me electronically everything is working fine. My problem is mechanical, and sensors don't always catch mechanical problems. Sensors catch electrical problems, electrical issues, electrical integrity issues, but mechanical problems sometimes don't set codes. So that's what I wanted to explain to y'all. Hopefully, if you're having some same problems I am, maybe this will shed some light on you. I've pushed this 10,000 miles past when I started originally having issues, and right now it's still drivable. It's still fine, but I'm not willing to take that chance anymore of how long is it going to go before it finally goes, So, all right. Hope y'all have a good one.